Talking today about the slope of a line. Okay. The slope is the change in the vertical distance divided by the change in horizontal distance. Okay. Now, Gracie, what page is that on? 404. Okay, thank you. If you look at the top of page 405, I wanted to know that, and the one I want to look at is from page 405. If you look at the top of page 405, they give you the different types of slope. Okay? If you look at a line, basically, when you have your coordinate plane, and the line goes like that, okay, what they want to know is from one point on the line to the next point on the line, what that change is. Okay, so they have a point, let's say we have a point right there and a point right there. Okay, call it point A, point B. Okay, point A and point B. What they want to know is what is the change to go from point A to point B. In other words, they want this distance right here. Okay? And the change in that distance, which we call rise over run, is equal to the slope. Okay? There's really two different ways you can find the slope. There is a formula for the slope. Okay? And it's listed there in your book. The formula for slope is equal to the difference in the y-coordinates over the difference in the x-coordinates. Okay? Now, some algebra books will put it like this, and it's the same thing. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? Basically the two y's minus the two x's. Okay? That's basically how we figure slope using the formula. Okay? Now, you can also do it by just looking at the graph and seeing what this run is versus this rise. Okay, and I'll show you here in a second how you do that. Okay? But to talk about slope, this is positive slope. This is negative slope. This is zero slope. And this is no slope. A vertical line has no slope. Okay? I can prove that to you mathematically, but here's how you can know by using the formula. When you use your formula for slope, if in this formula this ever ends up being a zero after you subtract them, this ends up being a zero, okay, then you've got a vertical line. You can't have a 0 in the bottom or the denominator of a fraction. Okay? That's all the slope is. It's just a fraction. Sometimes those fractions are going to be negative. Sometimes those fractions are going to be positive. Sometimes they're going to be improper fractions. Sometimes they're going to be proper fractions. Okay? But all of those things can be slope. I'm trying to explain slope to you before we do in the actual figuring out of the slope. Okay? All right. Now, as we look at this, all right, as I draw that coordinate plane, and I'm going to put a line inside of it. I know not to make it that long because it's harder for me to stay straight writing like that. A little hard to stay straight that long writing on my palm here. Okay? But here's what we've got. Got point A, point B. Okay? So they want to know how much it changes from point A to point B with the vertical distance and with the horizontal distance. Well, first of all, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the coordinates of that point are 7 and 5. Okay, what are the coordinates of my A point? Do what? -6, not 2, 1. -6, 1, because it just goes up 1 unit there. Okay, let me make sure it's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay, so -6, 1. So we can find the slope for this line by simply plugging those points into our formula. Okay, which means here's my coordinates. Okay, and my y's are on top, so 7 minus 1 on top. Is that right? Right? Is that right? So 7 and 1 is my y's? Okay, that's what I'm... Make sure you're paying attention. Okay, so my y is 5 and 1. 5 and 1 is my 2 y's. Then my x is 7 and -6. Okay? Now, what is 5 minus 1? 4. Now, pay attention before you say anything. And remember, we have our rule for subtracting integers. What is 7 minus -6? No, I told you to think before you answered. What? It's 13. Let the guy that's actually graduated college. 7 minus -6 is the same thing as 7. Change that to addition. Do the opposite of -6 behind it, which is +6. 7 plus 6 is 13. So 4 over 13 is my answer. Okay, that is the slope of that line. Okay, the other way we could tell that is by doing this. We could go from this point all the way to here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's 13 units. That represents the run. Then I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So that represents the rise. Our formula is also slope is equal to rise over run. So that gives me the rise is 4, the run is 13. Now, we know that it's positive because as you move from left to right, you walk uphill. Okay, when you're walking uphill on the line, it's positive. When you're walking downhill on the line, right here, now, it has to be moving from left to right. Okay? Just like here, you can walk on a flat surface. We cannot walk on this unless we're Spider-Man. Huh? Rock climb is not going to be a vertical straight line. So, all right. So, that's the two different ways you can find slope. I would prefer you, when you have the points given to you, that you use the formula where you're taking your y coordinates minus your x coordinates. Now, the other thing you need to understand is this. These two have to be in the same parentheses. These two have to be in the same parentheses. In other words, you can't switch it up. Okay? All right, I want you to break in your groups from the other day, and I want you to try these three problems. Okay, break in your groups from Friday, and I want you to do problem blah, blah. I want you to do problem number 22, 23, and 5 and 6. Okay? Problems 5 and 6, 22 and 23. Okay? Get there real quickly and get that done. We're not done, but I want you to, unfortunately, you get to pick the ones you want to use, and then you get confused, okay? But all you have to do is this. If you will just do an input-output table, and on your input-output table, use x is 0 and y is 0. That way we can find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and that will make it easier on us, okay? So if we plug in the values for 0, 4 times 0 minus 3y equal 12. Hugo, what's 4 times 0? 0. Minus 3y equal 12. Now this is what some of you are still getting confused on. Okay? You have to do one of two things here, folks. You've got to see that minus sign in the front of the 3, you've got to see it like this, or you just have to know that that's negative 3y equal 12. One of the two ways you got to see it that way. Okay? One of whichever way you can see it, visualize it, that's what you have to do. Now I have to solve it. So that's negative 3y equal 12. I would do what, Gracie, to solve it? What do I do to solve negative 3y equal 12?
No, 12 equals. No, divide.
What is that?
Divide 3.
Right.
Oh,
We divide by negative 3 to both sides.
4.
And that gives me y is equal to negative 4. Right. So, that's the first point. The second point, we plug in 0 for y. So that's 4x minus 3 times 0 equals 12. Okay, in other words, I'm plugging in that figure right there. That's 4x minus 0 equals 12. Hey, focus there, not there. So now what I do to solve that, Copeland? Which gives me, so what I do? Divide by what? So we divide 4 into both sides, which gives me x is equal to 3. So there's your 2 points. So my coordinates are 0 and 3 and negative 4 and 0. Now read the directions. This is problem like 14. What are the directions for that section?
Find the coordinates of 2 points upon the line with the given equation, then use the points to find the slope of the line.
Okay, so they don't tell you to graph it, right? We don't have to graph it. Okay. So we just use these points just like you're doing on 22 and 23. There's your x, there's your y. And so you do this. 0 minus negative 4. Whoops, nope. I pulled a student. 3 minus 0. And 0 minus negative 4. So that's plus, plus. So that's 4 on bottom. 3 minus 0 on top is what? 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. So your slope is equal to 3 over 4. Okay? So that's how you do those. Now, we said the other day, hang on. I'm trying to find that one. Yeah, I'll have to find it later. Okay, what was your question? Somebody said something?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying, can you go back down? Oh.
It's there. So, here's what I want you to start working on. You're going to do 8 through 16. Through 35. Okay? So start working on it. Yep.